Well, I'm joined here today by author Peter Hitchens, giving a talk with the Politics Society on the moral failures of the Cultural Revolution. So it's fair to say that you've been quite critical of many aspects of modern day life, particularly regarding religion and morality. So what exactly is then your vision for an ideal society?
I don't have visions.
No visions?
I have no
at all.
visions. No,
So, but
other people can have visions if they like. I don't have visions.
Okay, so it's fair to say then, at least, that you're extremely worried about the path we're headed down.
I'm critical of what's happened, and I attempted for many years to influence politics so that the things that I criticised were put right, and nobody paid a blind bit of attention. So now I just laugh at it and have no political role or ambitions at all. I think that it's all over.
Okay, so it's
Did
quite...
what I could, but the country's finished.
It's obviously quite a pessimistic view of society.
Being pessimistic keeps me so cheerful.
Yet the statistics would show that we live in a time now of more peace than ever before. If you look at conflict across the globe, it's at its lowest levels in existence.
Really?
Yeah, well, yes, you only have to look at the number of wars we've fought throughout history and the casualties from those wars to see how much more peaceful society is today than it has ever been.
Well, if you say so, I would have to examine the figures. It doesn't seem that peaceful to me. I mean, Libya is a cauldron of blood and screams. Syria is suffering an imposed civil war. There is a terrible war in Yemen. There is an undeclared war in Ukraine. Those are the ones that I can just conjure up in a quick tour of the horizon. If you think that's peaceful, that's fine by me, but it doesn't strike me as being particularly peaceful.
Well, you say seemingly. Could perhaps this problem of people being more negative and seeing society as more violent be because of the media?
You've changed the subject anyway. First of all, you asked me about Britain, and then you come up with this claim about the general peaceful nature of the world. They're two separate issues. We can talk about one or the other, but not both simultaneously.
Okay, fine, then we can talk about the UK. Even if you look at the historical crime statistics, it's gone down massively since the 60s, the Cultural Revolution that you do talk about.
But you know why that is? It's because we ceased to record huge numbers of things as crimes, which used to be recorded as crimes. And I've written at length about the fiddling of crime statistics, and what has actually happened is that we've simply declassified huge numbers of things which in 1965 we would have regarded as crimes worthy of prosecution, which now the police don't even notice, let alone do anything about. It's not that crime has fallen, it's that we have reclassified it as something else.
So what are some of these crimes that we've reclassified?
General disorder in the streets. So you need to go to the rougher areas of any city in the country, and you'll find that the level of disorder and theft and dishonesty, of car theft, of burglary, of the danger of mugging, of the unsafeness of parks and public spaces and streets, the level of drunkenness and general misbehaviour in the city centres on Friday and Saturday nights is immensely greater than it was 50 years ago, and out of control by comparison with then. Anybody visiting this country from 50 years ago and seeing these things would be appalled. But statistically they don't show up. That's because statistics aren't always a very good indicator of the truth.
So then where can we infer that they've gotten any more violent? It's just your own sort of personal account of how cities have changed?
I've witnessed it personally. I'm sitting here in front of you. I still retain my wits, and I can see it. But anybody who's lived through this period knows that this change has taken place, and that one of the principal aspects of it has been the withdrawal of the police from the streets. So they're simply not there. If they were there, then it might not have happened, but as they are, it does happen, and it also goes unrecorded. You speak quite rightly of recorded crime. Well, there are two things. There's actual crime and there's recorded crime. If there's nobody there to record it, it's not recorded. It doesn't mean it doesn't happen.
So then you mentioned the police being withdrawn from the streets. Surely that's less of a concern about common morality, but rather the economic and political policies of government.
Well, if you have a moral system which is widely supported, and if the police are on the side of that moral system, and they are, as it were, the representative of law and justice and of the desire of the people for order in their streets, and they patrol the streets and are seen by the good as their allies and by the bad as their enemies, that it has an effect. And if they're withdrawn, then the people feel as if they've been deserted. It's a bit like the moment when the legions leave and the Roman Empire shrinks, that although there is no immediate danger, people begin to worry that there is no protection. And then when the challenge comes, there is nobody to protect them. So it's a gradual but definite process of a withdrawal of the state from being on the side of the public and of the police from being the servants of the public to being the servants of the state, and a general decline in the level of public behaviour, which, as I say, is evident to anybody who's lived through it.
Okay, fair enough. And then changing tack a little bit. Previously, you were a fervent socialist, as Owen Jones didn't fail to point out. But by what time did you feel like your opinions were fully formed, and sort of what led to this realization?
Well, I don't quite mean by fully formed. At any time in your life, you think that the position that you've reached is the one most satisfactory to you because you do. And obviously, when you're in your teens and 20s, you're aware that people think that maybe you lack experience, but then you might justify the fervency of your position by the fact that because you are held down, as they might be, by the tedious problems of career and mortgage and all the other things which make people less adventurous, that you might be able to think more clearly than they. So at any time, the vanity of the human person will tell you that you're satisfied with the way that you think. That doesn't mean that you're right. But I would say that having had that experience and being reasonably self-aware, and of having found myself to be proven wrong by experience and life, and having had a pretty considerable experience both of life and politics, and the great good fortune to have a front seat in a lot of major events of our time, that my views are now more coherent and more how shall I say, solidly based than they were when I was 18 or 19.
So it was through perhaps engaging in reasoned debate that brought you around to this
Well,
position?
reasoned debate is part of it, but you can't even take part in reasoned debate unless you're prepared to do so. And I wouldn't say that what I was prepared to engage in when I was a Trotskyist could be called reasoned debate by any objective observer. In those days, I was just telling people what they ought to think.
And so, why does it seem then that many who identify with the left become increasingly right-wing as they age? Will we continue to see that? Well, it would seem that a lot of...
Give me examples.
Well, for example, it would often seem that parents were a lot more radical when they were younger, and then as they age, they get a job, they start paying taxes perhaps, they become increasingly more right-wing.
If you got work on this, I don't know. My experience has been that my generation, certainly the 60s generation, most of them have remained as radical and left-wing into their late middle age as they were when they were in their teens. They've just learnt to express it better, but I don't think that most of the, in cultural and moral terms, most of them have changed much at all.
Express it better how?
Sorry, it would express it a bit more articulately, more coherently. But they don't, there is no such alteration taking place that I can see.
All right, and you've also talked a lot about the death of Christianity in the West, specifically the UK. Why exactly is it worrying to you that the nation is becoming increasingly secular?
Well, because without a moral foundation, people don't. Well, and there's the fundamental thing, of course, that in my belief, those who turn away from the Christian religion may be imperiling their immortal souls. But that's a concern which most people find incomprehensible. So I won't press it. But in the purely utilitarian sense, where people have no fundamental, unalterable moral system to guide and restrain them, then the chances are they'll behave more badly than they otherwise would.
Yet has the church not held society's progress back in numerous instances?
Well, it may well be that it has. I'm not a public relations man for any church. I'm talking about Christianity. Churches sometimes misinterpret Christianity. Christians sometimes misinterpret Christianity. As I say, I'm not here to defend their misinterpretations and their mistakes. They're beyond doubt. But it's interesting, actually, though, that Christianity has learned from its mistakes and doesn't behave in those ways anymore. Most of the things that people can point to about Christianity where it behaved badly are many centuries ago, not contemporary.
Peter Hitchens, thank you very much.
My pleasure.